Hey, what's up guys? I'm Mr. Chris with Infotainment.com. Today we're back with our 2022 Jeep Gladiator. We are doing a rear park assist upgrade on our Jeep today. We have everything that comes in our kit, which is the wiring, the module, and the sensors. And we also have a bumper that has our sensor bezels, which is not included with the kit, as well as the sensor holes, obviously. Your bumper is not going to have holes in it. You can drill the holes yourself. That may not work out for you. We recommend getting a factory bumper that has the holes in it. We found ours on eBay. You can get them anywhere from $300 to $500 on the used market. Anyway, without further ado, we are going to get into the install and show you how to get it done. All right, so because we got our bumper off of eBay, to start the install off is I'm going to remove the factory bumper and check for any parts that we may need to swap over onto our new bumper. For example, like the little lights that may be missing on your replacement bumper. We're going to get all those little pieces swapped over, as well as the sensors installed, and then we can throw the new bumper on there. So before anything, you're going to have to take your license plate off. We already pulled this license plate off because there is 2 bolts hidden behind that plate that you'll have to remove that's securing the bumper as well. All right, so removing your rear bumper on your Gladiator is pretty easy. On either side underneath the rear of your bumper, you have a couple of 16mm nuts here. You have 2 more on the other side. And as I mentioned, behind the license plate, you have those remaining 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all 4 off from the back, leaving those 2 behind the license plate for last. Just so when I pull those out, I can be on the outside of the Jeep, supporting the bumper as I pull it off of the vehicle. So we'll start by taking these out. And we'll jump to the passenger side and take the other 2 out. All right, while you're under here, it's a good idea to remove all your connectors that are attached to the bumper. That way, when you go to pull it from the top side, you don't have anything impeding you. So I'll take off my bumper lights. If you got hooks under here or little wire fasteners, you can pull those out as well. And you just want to make sure your harness is free from the bumper all the way down. All right, once you remove all of the little harness clips and tags that are on there, you're going to want to make sure you unplug your 7-way as well. Just like that. If you have a little trouble with this, you can also pop this out by pushing it forward with the clips that are on the top, but we won't need to do that. Once we get the bumper off, we'll make sure we swap this over to our new bumper. All right, now that we got everything removed on the back side of the bumper, the last 2 bolts here will pull off, and that'll free our bumper. All right, from here, just pull straight back. The bumper isn't too heavy, thankfully, so you can do this by yourself. All right, we have our original bumper here and our replacement bumper. We're gonna get the 7-way swapped over, the license plate lights swapped over, as well as our replacement bumper seems to be missing a couple of the little plastic nuts here. We're gonna get those swapped over. We're gonna have to remove the bumper reinforcements on the side out here to access the sensor holes anyway. So being that it's missing these isn't a big deal at all. Also, we have the factory parts to go back into it. So let's get these parts swapped over. All you'll need is a panel tool, and you're going to want to work these clips on the side of your 7-way while putting some downward or outward pressure on the 7-way. There you go. Once you have it popped out, you should be able to just slide it in and snap it into place in your new bumper. All right, and same thing with the lights. There's a little clip on the bottom. I'll actually get one out. So the light is held in basically like this. On the bottom side is a little clip, and on the top side is this notch. So you want to snap that clip upwards and then just kind of push that thing out of its socket. We'll do that to both sides. And we should be able to just snap that into our new bumper. And like I said, our replacement bumper is missing these outside plastic speed nuts. And these are 13mm if you need to know the size for those. All right, and our bumper has everything else, so we don't need our original bumper anymore. So focusing on our new bumper, with these side brackets removed, you can gain access to the sensor hole. There's another sensor hole right below the license plate lights, and so you'll have 2 in the center, 2 on the sides or the outsides. All right, so getting to the point where you're going to install your sensors, you're going to get 4 sensors with your kit. They're all the same, but they'll go in opposing directions. So what I mean by that is if you look at your sensor hole, there's going to be a curve to it, and that's the side that's going to go to the curved side of the sensor. Basically, if you look on the side of the sensor, you'll see this little raised portion here. One has a notch on there, and you're just going to line it up with the notch that's in your sensor bezel and push it right down until it clips. Before we push this in there, I'm going to attach our wiring harness to the sensor. I'm going to start on the driver's side. You're going to plug that in, and then you can drop in your sensor with plug. Give that a nice tug. That is secure, and I just press down that little connector lock. I'll do that for the center sensor, and I'll work my way over to the passenger side. All right, so for your harness, there's a little bit of slack here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zip tie it up to these bottom side of these speed nuts down here, and that way it'll be up and out of the way, so when I put my bumper back onto the hanging brackets, that it's just going to be missing anything and it's not going to get pinched in between there. I'm going to do that all the way across to the other side, making sure that I miss this whole center area where the bumper gets bolted in the center. All right, now that we got our sensors and our harness ran, you can take your end bumper brackets, slide these back into place, and we'll reinstall everything that we removed earlier. All right, we'll jump to the passenger side and do the same thing. All right, and as the last step for assembling our bumper, I'm going to reinstall the lights that we pulled off of our original bumper, which these slide in at an angle. There you go. And then they snap into place. All right, now our bumper is ready to go back on the truck. All right, our replacement bumper came with a couple of tow hooks, the Mojave orange tow hooks to be exact. So before I install the new bumper, I'm gonna replace and install these hooks on our Jeep here. If you have tow hooks to change out, you're gonna wanna grab a 21mm socket and pull these guys out, and it's a pretty straightforward install. All right, you got the old one out. Ours actually came with its own hardware, so it doesn't really matter what we use. get these on here. You're going to want to make sure these are nice and tight. All right, we'll do the same thing on the passenger side. All right, now we're ready for our bumper. All right, and just like our original bumper, these are very light. You can do this by yourself. You just line up the holes and set your bumper in place. It's nice that this hitch will actually support the bumper for the most part, so you can line up your bolt holes here. All right, we'll throw these two back in to secure it. All right, now from the back side of the bumper, we can go ahead and reinstall all of the previously removed hardware, as well as plug our lights in and connect our 7-way back up. When you're plugging all your plugs back in, make sure to press all those wire clips back into the bumper holes back here so you don't have any wires hanging anywhere. All right, now that we have our bumper secure, we're ready to run our wire up to the cab of the truck. All right, when you're running the wires to the rear of the Jeep, you always want to make sure that you either follow the frame of the Jeep, any kind of factory harness. You just want to make sure that you stay away from anything hot or moving. So the exhaust, the suspension, all that stuff you want to avoid. So here we have Danny. He's actually running our wires from the back to the front, going along the same path that we took when we installed our blind spot monitoring system on this Jeep. All right, so when you reach right around the gas tank area towards the center of the Jeep, you'll notice a very large rubber grommet that's going into the cab. This is where we went through, or what we use as an access hole for our blind spot monitoring kit. We're going to utilize that same grommet and run our wire through there. To access that grommet, we actually have to remove the underseat storage that's underneath our rear seats. So we'll go ahead and pull those out right now. All right, so we'll go ahead and fold the rear seats up. And our grommet that we're trying to access is kind of right around this area here. So we'll pull our underseat storage, which is just a bunch of 10mm bolts. And we can set this aside for now. And then I'm going to pull our floor jack out. All right, now we can just pull our carpet forward, and that'll give us access to this grommet here. As you can see, like I said earlier, that's the grommet that we used for our blind spot monitor kit. I'll pull this out, and from underneath, Danny's actually going to pass me the end of the harness here. So I'll pull all the slack up. All right, and that's all we got. Then I'll get the end of our connector and I'll mush it through the hole that we already made in this grommet. All right, just like that. All right, and that's all we needed to do to get it into the vehicle. We'll mush this back down. And we can continue to run this up towards our glove box, because that's where our module is actually going to be installed, is right behind our passenger glove box. So I'll just run this down the side here. And because the harness is so small, you actually don't even have to pull your side panels. You can just kind of lift them a little bit and tuck the wire underneath all your plastic paneling, and that should conceal it pretty nicely. But from here, since we got all that we needed to get out of the rear compartment, I'm going to put our carpet back together, put the jack back in, and then I'll reinstall our underseat storage. Alright, so I got my wire ran right up into the separation point from our front kick panel here. When you reach this point, what you can do is you can either remove your entire kick panel, or you can do what I'm going to do, which is kind of a cheat way. I'll pull our floor mat out of the way here. But I'm just going to pop our kick panel outwards a little bit, just so I can run my wire behind it. I'll pull this little cover off, and I'll take my door harness loop off. And basically what I'm going to do is tuck my wire behind the kick panel, working my way up, going behind the kick panel plastic here. And basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the end of your connector around the back side of the speaker area. So I'll pull the glove box out to show you where I'm going to mount the module. But once you get your wire up into this area here, that's all you really want to accomplish. And we have our little arm on the side. You pull up on that arm here, and that'll free it from the little notch that it's sitting in. Then you can press up in the center to release the tab, and then just pull straight out with your glove box. I'll set that aside. Now you'll get a little better idea from up under here. This is where all of our wires are running into, behind the dash. I'm just going to feed my wire right up behind here, and you can see it pop out right there. Alright, and once you get your wire to this point, you're ready for the rest of the kit, which is going to be your module, as well as your easy DC connection with the data line on there as well. So what we're going to do is plug in our ParkSense module, and all these plugs, there's 3 of them on here. You can't get it wrong, it's keyed so they won't fit in the wrong location, so it'll only plug in one way. Once you have that plugged in, you can either get a piece of Velcro, double-sided Velcro, or double-sided tape, and you can set it right behind your speaker back here. So you can see your blower motor to the side. You could even bring it on the left side of your blower motor and zip tie all the lines up. However you want to do it, all we're trying to do is mount it up and away from the glove box, so the glove box won't hit this when you're opening and closing it. Alright, so now you're going to be left with 2 plugs. This one with the Y on it, that's actually going to run to your center stack. That's going to go behind your power port to give our module power. And the other one is your data line. So this is actually kind of universal. It'll fit into both sides of your star connectors, but what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to plug it into the green side, the one on the left. Bring it up here. You see you have a whole bunch of ports open on there. It doesn't matter which one you plug it into any one of those and you'll be fine. We'll come back to this and zip tie that up. As for this side, we'll continue running this over towards our center stack area. Alright, I have my wire tucked pretty close to right around this area. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull all this apart so I can pull that wire through and plug it into our power port back here. Alright, to pop this panel free, what you need to do is from the left corner here, right below your push to start button, you can pop the edge of this panel down. You don't have to remove it any more than just that section. I'm going to stick my fingers behind the push to start button, And I'm just gonna pull my climate control bezel out of there. I'll unplug that plug and I'll spin that to the side. And that'll give me enough access to access the single Phillips screw that's holding on this panel. Once that screw is out, it's just held in with a bunch of retaining clips. Alright, we can pop that free, and I'll actually twist this to the side to give me access to run my Y connection here, right through our dash. Alright, there we go, and now it's as simple as unplugging the power port back here and plugging our line in, and we can plug our power port line back into the other side. We have another connection on here because we also have our blind spot monitoring kit installed in this Jeep as well. But once you have this back here, you're good to go. You can go ahead and reinstall all the panels that you just pulled off, and we can move forward with the programming. All right, we got the installation all wrapped up. Now we can move forward with programming. We need to install our gateway security bypass, and then we can run our Genie programmer. All right, we have our bypass installed. We'll make sure our ignition is into the run position. Hit that start button twice. Now we can run our Genie. All right, you hear the horn honk, that means it's been programmed. We got the green light, so we can pull our Genie out. We'll stow this away, we don't need to use this anymore. And we'll let the Jeep sleep for about 15-20 minutes. We'll go ahead and turn it back on and give it a try and test out our ParkSense. All right, we let our Jeep sleep for a little bit. Now I'll go ahead and start it up. All right, you can see we have our rear ParkSense volume here. We can adjust how loud the audible warning is. So as we get closer to something, that's how loud that warning is going to be. Let's leave that on the high setting, or in our cluster right in the center. If I throw it in reverse, there you can see we have our Park Assist radar. We can get Danny to walk back there and show you what it looks like when you're getting close to an object. So you can see you get the audible warning as well as the visual warning. It actually tells you what zone that somebody is coming close to. And when you put it back in the park, it goes back to normal. Throw it back in reverse. You can see that pops up again. All right, so that wraps up this install. It's a pretty easy install to get into. The hardest part is just gonna be sourcing out a bumper. But once you have that, order our kit, follow the video, and you should have a nice safety upgrade for your Jeep that'll help protect your investment as well as protect people when you're backing up. If you like this video and you want to see more, make sure you head back to Infotainment.com.